What's up, everybody? This is Jason Richardson. I'm here with Coach T. Scott on Buckets and Breakdown.
I'm Coach Thomas Scott, and if you're listening or watching this podcast, it means one thing. You want to learn how to get buckets from the best in the world. This is the Hoopers Podcast. This is Buckets and Breakdowns.
You know him, Jason Richardson. We call him Jay Rich. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Nothing much. Just hanging out. Just hanging out.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you spending your time with the good folks at Ballers Life and Buckets and Breakdowns to talk about your path, your journey, some of your accomplishments, man. I just want to start out straight to it, man. Like, Jay Rich is still getting buckets, and he's still dunking on people right now in the summer, right now in the Big Three. Like, right now, he's dropping 20. I mean, you done caught about 2 or 3 bodies already. We in week 7.
Yes,
Bro,
sir.
how are you able to stay in such good shape and continue to have bunnies like that?
Man, it's just the passion for the game, man. Once I retired, I kind of took some time away from basketball, but I was steady working out. And then, over time, my son's starting to get older. I started going into their practices. They might have 8 or 9 kids. They need another body. And I just kept on playing basketball because my love for it. And then once I moved out to Vegas, man, we was one of the only states in the country that didn't have a high school season. So guys like Jaden Hardy, a couple of overseas guys, they needed guys to run with. And, I was in the gym and, hey, you want to run? I was like, why not? So I came out to Vegas, moved out here in August, and ever since then, man, I've been playing pickup, 2 or 3 times a week, man. It's almost like I'm back in the league or something.
Yeah, man. I've been catching a lot of it on social media. I think most people have been tripping. You've been playing in the Big Three for a couple years. Getting you involved was great for the league. And but just seeing you playing up and down with a lot of guys that were younger, guys that were playing overseas, still in the league, and you were still effective the way you were, not only just on offense, on defense, man. That's incredible. Do you age?
You know what? You get smarter. So your athleticism goes away a little bit. So you start thinking the game. And the older I got, the more I start thinking of ways to score, ways to get rebounds, ways to cut back door when the guy's not looking. So I think the old phrase say, the older you get, the wiser you get.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that because all I'm doing is posting up. I used to be off the ball. I'm posting up now.
Yes,
Hey, so, I want to ask you, like, when did you realize that you were getting buckets? And tell us about that. Like, when you realized, I'm pretty nice in this game.
You know what, man? I grew up in Saginaw, Michigan. It's a small city, but it is a hotbed for basketball. We had some great players come out of there. Darvin Helm, who won a championship as a coach last year with Milwaukee Bucks, also won a championship as a player. Myself, Draymond Green, of course, everybody know about. Terrence Roberson, not a lot of people know about him, but he's only one of 4 guys to ever be Parade All-American 4 years in a row. It's always just a hotbed of basketball. Mark Macon is another guy. And so I always thought I wasn't good enough because I had to go get some tough guys in high school, man. Crosstown rivals were tough. I had a teammate that was just very skilled. He was like Tracy McGrady in my eyes. And so I didn't know until like my senior year, once he left out the door because he was the man, that I was able to play at another level and be successful at the next level.
That's what's up. Now, we talking about the early ages, the early days playing, coming from Saginaw, Michigan. Do you remember your first dunk? And not only that, your first dunk on somebody.
I remember my first dunk, man. I was on my way. I was at the park just working out by myself, man. I was in the 8th grade going to the 9th grade. And after I got done working out, I was like, man, let me see if I could dunk. Because I was touching the rim by then. And I went up and I just, boom, I was like, oh, my goodness. I left the ball there, left my bike there. And I took off running down the street to my grandmother's house where all my family stayed. She stayed right down the street from the park. and I'm running in the house. I'm like, I could dunk. They're like, yeah, right, you can't dunk. The whole family comes to the park. I mean, grandmother, mother. I mean, it was about 20 of my family members out there. I get the ball and I go up, boom, and everybody was like, it was quiet for a second. It was like, oh yeah. So I definitely remember that moment because my whole family was there. I think my first body I caught was in high school off a tip dunk. The ball just came off the rim and a couple of guys just jumped. and I just went over them and just came down on their heads. Boom, cracked
Oh,
it.
so it's funny that you talk about a tip dunk because I've been going back on YouTube doing my research. I advise all you young fellas that don't know about Jay Rich tuning in to go ahead and go on YouTube this man, please, because he has stupid bounce. The tip dunk on Shawn Bradley. Can you give us some insight on that tip dunk on Shawn Bradley?
You know what, man? And the Warriors, the 6 years I was there, we always played Dallas close. We either beat them a few times or we lost to them very closely. And I can remember vividly, it was one of those games that we had a chance to win. And in your mind, Shawn Bradley is the guy you always want to put on a poster because he's tall. He's 7 feet tall.
7'6"?
He's seven
What,
six
seven?
tall. Yeah. And you just want to go destroy him because he's tall and he's known for blocking shots. And I remember Uncle Cliff, RP, Uncle Cliff Robinson, man. The play was for him, and he drew up and he was hot. He had a hot hand in that game, and he shot the ball and he missed it. And I said, "Oh, that is perfect off the rim." And then while I'm in the air, I didn't see Shawn is creeping in there trying to get the rebound. And once I'm jumping, I'm seeing him right there. I was like, "It's over for him." And I just destroyed the rim on him. And I came down, fell, and he kind of hooked me. I think he was pretty mad at me because he hooked me
Yeah,
in the face, and I just fell down screaming. Ah!
that
And
made it worse.
it made it worse because that was put us over. I think it put us up by 3 points, and we ended up winning the game.
Man, you talk about you saw the perfect opportunity for one. Talk about that type of timing. For somebody that may even have bounce or somebody's working on getting it, that kind of timing and anticipation, what does it take to accomplish a tip jump?
You know what? I think for me, it's just it goes back to my early days of playing youth sports. Just wasn't a basketball player. Believe it or not, I grew up playing hockey. I
Oh,
played
really?
hockey. Yeah, I played hockey all the way to the 8th grade until my feet got too big for skates, and so I couldn't
Wow.
get custom skates then. But I played football until my junior year. I played baseball until my sophomore year. I ran track all to my junior year, and I ran all 4 years in cross country. So I think in just all that timing with tip dunks, it was all catching the ball from football passes. I was a wide receiver, or I was an outfielder, so I was used to timing, quick timing. So I think I
Hmm.
picked up that timing of tip dunks to just playing different sports.
Man, that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of ball players that play a little bit of football, and then honestly, I see the carryover. Like, what's the kid that just got drafted from Sacramento? Davian Mitchell's that his
Mitchell,
name.
yeah, Davian
The way
Mitchell, yeah,
he's locking up, it looks like he's just a cornerback at the line.
yeah,
Like you're not
seriously.
getting to your route.
Yeah, I mean
So,
it's facts. I mean, you talk to a lot of coaches, and they want these multiple athletes. I mean, you look at guys like Nick Robinson. He went to school for football and became an NBA player. You see a lot
hmm
of these football players that were basketball players at first in college, like Joey Graham and Antonio Gates and all those guys. They were basketball players for first, and then
hmm
they became football players. So I think when you're multidimensional in different sports, man, you could achieve anything, or you could play any sport.
absolutely. So you end up going to Michigan State, right? At a high school. First, what high school did you go to?
I went to Saginaw Arthur Hill.
Okay.
Saginaw, Michigan.
Yeah, I saw you in Mr. Basketball out there.
Yeah, Mr. Basketball out there. Back then in those days, man, it was tough playing in the city of Saginaw. We had a cross-town rival, which is Saginaw High. They had a lot of hoopers there. Then you have to go down the highway a little bit, about 20, 30 minutes. You had Flint, which was a lot of ballers
Mm,
down there. We beat up on each other. Then after we beat up on each other, you got to play a Detroit team. So it was
yep.
always tough in the state of Michigan in basketball when I came out.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about your team, Michigan State, man. What made you want to go there, and talk about some of your teammates you played with?
It was this family atmosphere, man. I mean, the first time I go out there on an unofficial visit, my team, Cleves, Morris Peterson, Antonio Smith, those guys just really embraced me. My team recruited me heavily there. He's like, man, you come here, we're going to win a championship. And I'm looking at him
Hmm.
like, yeah, right, man. I know I'm pretty good, but I mean, you're All American. You're going to be an NBA player. But ever since I went down to my sophomore year, he just always on me. Like, man, come here, man. I'm telling you, when you come here, we're going to win a championship. And I'm just looking at him
Hmm.
like, man, this dude crazy. He's really crazy. This is All American. I know he wanted me to get here, but when I got there, it was the same love. The
Hmm.
first time I walked in the locker room, the team's like, "Where you sitting at?" I said, "I don't know, man. I don't, nope, your locker right here next to mine." Like, wow, man, he really took me under the wing. Morris Peterson did the same thing. That was my roommate on the road when we had games. And the lessons and knowledge I learned from those guys and that short year I had with them was it was so valuable for my development and becoming a complete basketball player.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Mo Pete. I worked for the Hornets when he was there, and shout out to Mo Cleaves, man. Just a great dude. It was on the day I met him, it was just solid. It's just
Yeah.
biggest smile you can find, man. Just a
Right, right.
good, great dude. Shout out
Yeah.
Cleaves. So you guys won a national championship, man. What was that like?
It was unbelievable, man, because that was a tough year, man. We started off the year, Mateen gets hurt. He broke his foot, and we were picked to be pretty high, but we had to come together as a team and gel together. Izzo was on us tough. He knew what we had, what we wanted to achieve. But when you get to that moment and that final buzzer in, it was amazing because all the hard work, the 6 a.m. workouts, the extra film session, Izzo was putting it together for 2 hours. The battles in practice, man, they mean a lot. I mean, you did all that sacrifice, you did all that hard work, and to accomplish that goal, man, it was just an amazing feeling.
That's awesome, man. When did you realize that okay, the NBA is around the corner? I actually got a shot. I can really get there. What was that like, man? Like, and then actually getting drafted.
It was crazy, man, because the success of making it, winning a national championship. I got the opportunity to play for the U20 USA basketball team. I tried out for the team. I made the team, and they told us before we go on the trip to Brazil that 3 of the guys that play at a high level would get the chance to play against. I think it was Dream Team 2 or 3 that was going to Australia and play, which was Vince Carter, Gary Payton,
Oh wow.
Ray Allen, Jason Kidd. So, that was motivation for me to go out there and play good. And I think I led the team in scoring, or I was second in scoring, and I get invited to play against these future Hall of Famers. And man, I'm like, oh man, okay. I worked on my game. I was putting up 1,000 shots. My jump shot started coming around, and I was like, well, this is a chance for me to measure up myself against some real top level NBA players. And we get to the first practice, and GP is just literally shutting us down, like literally
Mm.
hand clapping me, Jay Will, and he just talking crap. And I'm like, the first practice, I'm like, man, there's no way in the world I'm gonna make it to the NBA. It's like these dudes are on a whole another level. And so, we had like 4 practices before we had an exhibition game. And every practice, it seemed to got a little bit better. We got a little bit more comfortable with speed, the pace, the physicality of it. And then we played this game in Hawaii. We played against these guys, and I was flow. I had 19 points in the first half. I'm like,
Oh
oh my
wow.
goodness, like I could play with these guys. Like the lights are on. I'm out there balling. I'm hitting threes. I'm dunking. I'm getting N1 layups and stuff. And I'm like, man, I really got a chance to play with these guys. Then I got a dose of reality because second half they shut me down. They had 1 point, but it gave me it,
You was
it
on the
gave me
scouting report
motivation.
then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they put GP on me, they put Ray on me, and Vince on me, and they just locked me down. But it gave me motivation to go back to Michigan State and continue to work on my game. But I think that moment I knew that I could be a future NBA player if I continue to work and put in the work in that I did before that moment.
Man, that's awesome. So, did you get drafted? You got drafted, right? And where'd you end up going? You went to Golden State
Golden
immediately.
State, yeah, Golden State immediately, man. I had no idea they were picking me at 5. I worked out for them. I had an amazing workout with them, but it was a lot of guys ahead. Shane, Battier was the highest college guy out, and before him, Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandler, and Kwame Brown, then Paul
Mm-hmm.
Gasol. So
Oh,
it
that's
was no
tough.
college player. It was no college player pick, and Shane was college player of the year. And so I'm sitting at the table, and I'm seeing him point at me, and I'm literally sitting next to my uncle, and I'm kicking him. He's like, "What's up?" I said, "I'm going to Golden State." He said, "What you talking about?" Commissioner Stern get up there, the 5th pick, Golden State Warriors select Jason Richardson. And it's pure excitement because I have no idea that Golden State picking me. And
Mm-hmm.
I hug my mom, my daughter's in my lap, and I hug my uncle. And you go across that stage, and this is just a moment that you'll never forget. That all your hard work, all your dedication, your sacrifices, your dreams come true. We walk across that stage, and you shaking the commissioner hand.
Man, that's awesome, man. And then it's time to get to work, man. So you there with Nelly, right?
Yeah, no, Nelly was my last year. My
Nelly wasn't
first,
there.
no, Nelly wasn't
Oh,
there. He didn't come to my last year.
okay. Who was
My,
there the first year?
Oh man, I was in Golden State 6 years.
Musselman?
I had 5
No.
coaches. My first coach was Brian Withers. No, my first coach was Dave Cowens,
Oh.
Hall of
Mm-hmm.
Famer from Boston. He got
Yep.
fired halfway through the season, went to Brian Winters. He gets fired
Mm-hmm.
after the season. I go to Mike Montgomery. No, yeah, no. I go to Musselman for 2 years. He gets fired. Eric Musselman for 2 years. He's get fired. And then my last year was Don Nelson.
Okay. So that's a lot of, systems to learn and pick up. How are you able to navigate through like your early years, and learn how to really be a pro? Is there anybody that kind of brought you under their wing?
Them first couple of years, man, I was running like a chick with my head cut off because it really wasn't. It really wasn't anybody there to take me under their wing. It was a lot of guys that kind of wanted to get out of there. Antoine Jameson I got really close with him, but he was still young too. He was like going into his fourth year. He just signed a big deal. So he's still kind of worried about himself. And he was like a big brother still, but it didn't come until like year 4 or 5 when, Cliff Robinson came, Derek Fisher came, Calbert Chaney, Avery Johnson.
Okay.
That's when I really learned how to be a pro. Those guys really took me under their wing. They showed me the ways to work hard, how to last long in the pro, how to be professional on and off the court. And I really credit those guys with, my development of becoming a real pro.
What's the key element? Because to me, you don't have to be a pro to actually approach things like a pro. So, you obviously got a young son right now. I'm sure you're transferring all of those things. And I'm hearing he's a baller. I done heard from other people how nice your son is, which I want to talk to you about as well. But what are some of the things that, athletes can do to actually, prepare themselves like a pro?
For me is, I never really had a real high skill set, but I always had a really, really high work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
I think you work at anything, you could become a pro at it. Later on, I think a book came out a few years ago. You put 20,000 hours into something, you are considered a professional at that. And so that was my thing, to always work. I might not be as skilled as a player. I might not be better as you, but one thing you're not going to do is outwork me. And I
Mm-hmm.
took that with pride, and I try to pass that message on down to my sons, which is totally different because he's really skilled. So a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
that naturally came to him don't naturally come to me. So when I see him working out, and he's got a little trainer now, and he's not working
Mm-hmm.
as hard, but it's so easy for him. I get on him, but I have to think like, man, this dude is so skilled that he doesn't have to work as hard as I do.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I was talking to somebody about this. It's like they have a different set of access. They have we will watch a game or see MJ do something, right? Isaiah Thomas, whatever. And you had to remember that clip and go outside and do it. Right. Like
Right,
they got YouTube, you got
right,
Ballers Life, they got social media. They can go, it's like, oh, let me check that again. Oh, let me say that video, run that back. Oh,
right,
okay, I see his footwork on that. And then you got
right.
trainers that are just reinforcing the skill development. And
Yes.
I think it's awesome that they're able to do that. But does he have bounce like Pops though? That's the question. Does he have
You know what? He's still young, and I'm telling everybody this all the time. My athleticism didn't kick in until my sophomore year, going to my junior year. But
Mm-hmm.
what's crazy about him, he was actually dunking it in the 8th grade. He has
Oh
dunked
wow.
in the 8th grade AAU games. I didn't dunk. My first dunk didn't come until ninth grade in high school. So
Mm.
he's far
Damn.
away ahead of me. So I just don't know how much of my athleticism he's going to get, but he's definitely dunking before me. If that's saying anything, and I know my athleticism will kick in later, I think it's going to kick in later, and I think he's going to be explosive.
Awesome, man. What's his name again? You got to shout out his name, man.
Yeah,
Everybody needs to check him out.
yeah. Jason Richardson too. We call him the second, but we call him Jace. So Jace Richardson, he's up and coming. So be on the lookout for him.
Awesome, awesome. So, I love that Golden State team, man. That We Believe team. I remember you guys, knocking off Dallas and everything. Like, what are some of your memories? Because that was an awesome team. Coming from Los Angeles, we love Baron Davis. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Stack Jack, all those dudes like bros, Monte Ellis, yourself, Al Harrington, man. These are real ones, that are cut from the same cloth, and very few times you have those type of guys on the same team, and to me, Nelly, I think, empowered that. And one
Right.
of those kind of guys, I heard rumors that sometimes in practice, he just put the ball at half court and say, first one to 100.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Nelly is definitely a player's coach, man. It was definitely fun for playing with him. But I think that team, man, why we gel so much, we all had relationships prior to we coming as a team, but we all
Mm-hmm.
had some baggage with us.
Mm.
Steve was just coming off the Palace fight. Al Harrington, everybody was saying he was overrated. Myself, they said I was getting numbers on bad teams. Barron was injury prone. Monte Ellis wasn't ready. So we all had baggage against us, and we all wanted to prove people wrong. And so we gelled together because we all wanted to cancel that out. And we came together as a group, and we wanted to do something special. We wanted to let people know that, hey, Golden State basketball is here, and we're here to stay. And I think we did a good job of that, of coming together in a short period of time. I think we had to win something like 23 games out of 28 games just to tie for the playoffs. And I think we did that, and it was just an amazing run for us, man.
Yeah, man, it was fun. To me, what I liked was the defense that y'all played. Like I remember Barron matching up with Dirk on a switch at the elbow, and like no help, I got him. Like
Yeah.
you guys had that dog mentality that I feel is a key element that you can't really put a stat on, but you feel it and you recognize it, when you see it. So I wish that team could have just stayed together a little longer, but the business of basketball happens. But man,
But
during that.
it's crazy. Hold on, I had to tell you something. It's a crazy story about that. So we all thought we were going to stay together another year, but I kind of
Mm-hmm.
figured out that Monte was the up and coming guy. That's my young guy. I took him under the ring. That's like my young brother. So I knew I was getting traded. So I kind of went to the front office. Hey, I know Monte's up and coming. Just let me know. Send me to a contender. Long story short, I get traded to Charlotte. Nobody talks to me. I'm mad.
Mm.
Years later, I mean, I'm literally mad at Golden State. Like, didn't talk to anybody. Had a very heated discussion on the phone when I got traded with them. Literally 10 years later, I'm sitting in my front yard, and the GM at the time of Golden State had just became the GM of Denver, and he moved 2 blocks down from me. He saw me playing in the front yard with my kids. He stopped by. Hey, Jason, what's going on? Hey, people, what's going on? Everything's good. Hey, man, I just want you to know that trade, man. You didn't know we was trading for Kevin Garnett. So what you talking about? He said, yeah, the trade fell through. What it was is it was supposed to be a package deal. You were supposed to go to Charlotte. The Charlotte pick was supposed to go to Minnesota with cash considerations going back to Minnesota, and we were supposed to get Kevin Garnett. I was like, wow. I said, hey, man, I would have traded myself for Kevin Garnett. This is Kevin Garnett. This is big ticket now. This is big ticket we talking about when he was, MVP status. So, it was crazy because everybody's like, wow, they traded for a draft pick. That wasn't the truth. The whole truth was it was supposed to be Kevin Garnett, and it just somehow Minnesota backed out at the last minute.
Wow, that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I have to ask you also about this too, because you have some of the most sick in-game dunks I've ever seen on a wide open break, man. I remember one you did this 360 windmill, front windmill. I mean, what was one of your favorite? What's your go-to like dunk, man, in the open court? What was your favorite go-to dunk in the open court?
It was mostly 360s, man. I grew up a big Dominique Wilkins fan, so anytime I got an open court, it's gonna be a windmill or 360. That just because that was just him. That he was known for that. And so I always patted my game at the Dominique. I thought he was an underrated basketball player, amazing jumper, unbelievable dunker. So anytime I got a fast break, it was like, man, tear the rim off with a 360 or a windmill. So it was one or the other.
Oh man, that's crazy, man. I love Neek, man. Shout out to Neek, man. That power dunking, man. Oh my gosh, that's a good guy to pull from, man. I
Right.
got a I got a funny story. I was talking to my boy AD. He's a head coach at Crossroads High School. He's my guy, and he's in the summer. It's in the summer. He's working out with Jelly Bean and Kobe's dad, and I think he's there with Marcus Williams, Ray Young, a couple other guys, and my boy AD. He went to Austin P, but he was in Inglewood High School. He was the youngest in the group, and you were in the gym. You were just in the gym watching what was going on. They working out.
Oh yeah,
You
I
just
remember.
watching.
Yep.
You remember this? You know where
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going with this.
Yeah, I do. I do remember it. Yep.
so he's in the back of the line. He's tripping out. He's like, "Oh, this Jay Rich, man." Like it's just Jason Richardson. Now he's a 6'2" guard with stupid bounce too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And so he's like, man, I'm sorry, Ray, I got to talk about this. He said, man, Jay Rich saw we was playing ones and he wanted to hop in. I had to go to the back of the line. I was kind of happy about it. And he said, you did one of the hard jabs, just a hard jab, an NBA jab, and Ray spun around in a circle. And then he tried to contest you, and he said, man, it was the coldest dunk on somebody I have ever seen, bro. He said, man, you got to bring that up on the show. You remember that, though?
I definitely remember that, man. That's, my first couple of summers in the NBA, I used to be in LA, so I was at Crossroads a lot, but I definitely remember that day, man. I definitely remember that day.
At Memorial Park.
Yeah.
See, I do my research, man.
Man.
So you go to Charlotte, man. Was Mike the owner there at that time?
Mike was the president of basketball operations, but he was in a transition of buying the team. So it was amazing seeing him around in the gym. Mike's so competitive, man. Playing one-on-one with him, and he just literally dominating us. Not even moving two or 3 feet left or right. He'll tell you, I'm going this way. You can't do nothing about it. One dribble, body, shot. And I mean, he'll win one-on-one games against, guys that's in the league is in shape. And he just coming out the locker room with a big cigar in his hand. So it was a great experience to be around him. Yeah, man. Mike is ultra competitive and just has so much insight, just picking his brain or just the game of how to work and, different things like that, man.
Man, I mean, did he ever give you any shit about wearing number 23? Like,
no, man. He never gave me. You know what? You know what the crazy thing about 23? So I grew up when I wore number 32. We had this guy named Preston Murphy, my hometown, that I was in love with him because the way he played the game, he played hard. It was a great shooter. He ended up going to Rhode Island, and so when I got to high school, I wore 32. But at Michigan State, 32 was retired by Greg Kelsler. And then they just switched the number around to 23. And so it was like, man, I didn't want to wear 23 because the Mike
really?
Jump in the dunk contest and stuff. But, I wear 23 for 14 years in the NBA and 2 years in college, man. It just stuck with me.
Man, that's dope. That's good insight, man. I appreciate you sharing all that. That's dope. So in Charlotte, man, like, what are some of your memories, playing there, and how was that vibe being out there? I mean, I don't know, at that time, were they expansion team at the time, or?
I think they were 2 years or 3 years removed from being an expansion team. So it was a tough time, man. I just coming from Golden State, 5 losing seasons. We finally had a season of winning. I get traded to Charlotte. Whole bunch of young guys, rookies, veteran guys that don't really want to be there. It was hurtful, man. It really put a toll on me. But, I had some great teammates, though. Gerald Wallace was a great teammate of mine. Raymond Felton was a great teammate of mine. Sean May, Matt Carroll. We really just gave it our all, but we just wasn't experienced enough and didn't have enough talent. But it was some great times there, man. We had some great times, and I think I was the franchise leader there and 3 points in the season. We won some big games. We went on the franchise longer win streak. At the time, I had a franchise high in scoring points. So I had a tough time there, but definitely had some memorial times there.
That's what's up, man. Now, one of my favorite teams also, I saw you with the Suns, man. It had a lot of firepower there, too.
Man, a lot of firepower, man.
A lot of firepower. There was who was there? You, Steve, Amare, Leandro Barbosa, who's still getting buckets, by the way, in the Big Three.
Yes, he is.
He's still getting buckets. Who else was there on that squad, man? Was Bell there?
Nope, Jared Dudley, Goran Dragic, Robin Lopez.
Yeah.
Grant Hill. I mean, we had a really good team, man. It was a really good team. Really good team.
Yeah. How easy was it to get, buckets there? Because, I mean, you got a lot of people that going to draw a lot of attention, and then people going to pass it to you on the money. Steve Nash, those dudes, man. How much fun was it playing in Phoenix?
Man, it was like a dream come true. I was like, man, finally I'm in a playoff situation. I'm playing with a future Hall of Famer. I'm playing with All-Stars. I'm playing with an organization that's used to winning. And so when I got there, it was easy for me to fit in because this is what I wanted for my career. And it didn't take long at all. I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe the first game, Steve Nash hit me in the chest with a pass, and I wasn't ready for it. And I said, "Oh, he
Mm.
that's never going to happen again." And so
Mm-hmm.
I learned when Steve is probing and he's going under the dribble, under the rim, they call it Steve Nash dribble. Always have your hands ready. Just cut. He might not see you the first time, but he definitely not going to miss you the second time. And it was so many easy layups and dunks because he'll dribble, and it's a pass come from out of nowhere, and it's in your hands in stride, and you dunking. But it was just an amazing time, man. Me being a Phoenix, it was probably one of my favorite teams playing for because we had a group of guys that all they care about was winning. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just, man, it was lovely to be around a group of guys that actually just want to win. Nobody had hidden agendas. Nobody was worried about contracts. Not downplaying any of my past teammates, but it was just a winning atmosphere that guys really want to win games.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can tell, that fan base with the finals that just happened. How much they love the Suns, and and I think as a player, you want to reciprocate that love. How they rocking with you on the floor,
Right.
man. It didn't look like those fans. It looked like they were sold out every night, man. Like it's the
It
only
was,
show in
man.
town, really. You
It really
know.
is, man. They're very loyal to their team there. They diehards. What they got going on right now is special, man. They got a great group of guys. It remind me of the team that was on that made it to the Western Conference Finals. We just ran into some guy named Kobe Bryant who gave us hell.
Yeah.
So I think they got a guy that is very similar to him. I think Devin Booker is on track to be a Kobe Bryant type player with his skill set, his tenacity, for him to just play hard all the time, man. It reminisces me of Kobe a lot. And of course, Chris
Mm-hmm.
Paul, what he's done everywhere he goes, he's a winner. And to
Mm-hmm.
do what he did with that team, it's pretty amazing. But they got a great thing going on, and they still got a chance to win a championship. So it'd be a pretty exciting to see them in the next year or two.
Absolutely, I agree, man. It was a fun run. I want to also ask you about slam dunk contest. All right, what? Obviously, you won two back to back, right? Like, what goes into your mind in terms of creativity? How you get in your bag when you approaching the dunk contest, man? Like, there's only so many dunks until somebody
Yeah,
does something crazy you never seen. Like,
yeah,
oh, I guess there is another dunk out there.
right. It's pretty hard, man. Back then when I was doing the dunk contest, um, some of the dunks I did at the end, they haven't seen before, but I already knew what I was going to do pre-dunks. I didn't practice on it because I did it all my life. I used to have a hanger on my door with a sock imitating, Dominique Wilkins and Dr. J and Mike and all the dunkers on Saturday night. When that was the dunk contest. When you watch All Star Weekend was for the dunk contest. So when it was my chance to go out there to do the dunk contest, man, it was like me back in my room or me at the park. I didn't see the fans. I already knew my routine because I've been doing this all my life. And, and it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because I wanted to be in the dunk contest before I wanted to be in the NBA. That's how
Mm.
crazy I was about the dunk contest. And not really as a kid, I realized like, yeah, you gotta be in the NBA to be in the dunk contest. Okay, Jason. But
Mm-hmm.
so when I got to the dunk contest, it was easy, but I always knew that I needed something for my final dunk that would wow the crowd. And of course, I had a crazy teammate, Gilbert Arenas, who used to jump off of trampolines in practice with the mascots and stuff like that. And he's
Gil.
and yeah, he used to have like, hey man, I got this dunk for you. And Gil used to have these crazy thoughts of dunks that he couldn't do, but he knew I would try. And some of
Mm-hmm.
these dunks, I'm like, Gil, man, you trying to break my neck. But the two dunk contests that I won, he gave me those dunks. So he would tell
Mm.
me like, hey man, you need to do this dunk. And both of those dunks that I did in '01, I mean '02 and '03, I did it one time and that was in the dunk contest. And the one and
Wow.
the second one between the legs backwards, that was my first time ever attempting that. That's the first time I ever made it, and I couldn't do it again. For some reason, I tried it at basketball camp. I tried it at celebrity games. I could never do that dunk again.
Wow. That's heavy right there.
Yeah.
So Gilbert Arenas is the mastermind behind the two-time slam
Yes, he
dunk
is.
back-to-back champ, Jay
Yep.
Rich.
Yeah, he is.
Wow. Gil
Yep.
thinks differently. Gil
He
thinks
does.
differently.
Yeah. If you ever been around Gilbert Arenas, you know Gilbert. Mine is all over the
Oh,
place.
I have. I have. Man, that's awesome. I mean, we've been talking a lot about, dunking and stuff, but man, you have other elements about your game. So I don't want to disrespect the rest of your game, man. You're able to lock up, you know what I'm saying? You're able to make some shots as well, man. And you were physical getting to the rim. What did you kind of work on, or what did you pull? Who did you pull from to develop your style of play?
Well, it was hard because me growing up in Saginaw, Michigan, there's not a lot of tall people. So in high school at 6'5", 6'6", I was the tallest kid. So I played center all my life. Even when I was in the little
Mm,
league record, I played center. So I never had guard skills. And I got to Michigan State. My first year, I was a spotty shooter. But then I got around one of my friends when I was actually at Team USA. Um, One of my friends came up to me. He's like, "Man, you really worked on your shot." I was like, "Yeah, I put in a lot of effort." He said, "Man, the scout report was don't guard you outside the paint." So what you talking about? The coach told us if you got a foot in the paint, we're going to be on Sports Center. He's going to dunk on you. But outside the paint, he can't hit the bar inside, throw the ball in the ocean. And I could remember going back to some of these games, and I'm literally catching the ball 8 feet, 10 feet away from the rim, and nobody would guard me. They'd back off into the paint. And so I took that personal, and I took my whole sophomore year, going into my sophomore year that summer, shot 1,000 shots a day, 1,000 shots a day, 1,000 shots a day. I was like, hey, if I want to be an NBA player, I can't just rely on my athleticism. Eventually,
hmm
my athleticism is going to go. I'm going to have to learn how to have skills. So I just kept on continuing to work on my shooting and my ball handling and just playing hard. So I just kind of just went into my own phase of just trying to, you know, be a complete player.
And that's what's up, man. Like everybody has, something that they do well, and there's some other things we have to work on. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I ain't have stupid bounce, but when I worked on it and I got in that gym and I started doing my single legs and my core, it's about 36, 38 inches up there, you know. But
Right.
it takes a player, especially when you're able to get away with something like, I can just overpower, I can, go over you, to just be like, nah, like I still, this is bothering me that this ain't happening right now. I'm not making this shot. I got to put in that work.
Right.
I admire that about any athlete and yourself, man. That's awesome. So I'm gonna go back to the defensive side too, man. Like what is somebody? How do you use your athleticism and your strength? Because you're strong too, to actually really lock up, guys and try to get engaged
Man, you
defensively.
know what? I bring it back to my Michigan State days. Coach Izzo, that's one thing you're gonna do. You're gonna play some defense, and so you being help side, cutting guys off in corner, reading the defense. You take pride in that because really defense is nothing but effort. You don't have to have skill to be a defender, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a pride thing. Are you going to sacrifice your body? Are you going to sacrifice some of your rest because you have to lock down a player? So, um, my thing was I always try to guard the best player on the floor. That was my matchup, and I try to do my best to stop some of these guys. And I'm talking about some of the Hall of Famers and legends like Kobe and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and Tracy McGrady. I took pride in guarding those guys, but and that was just fun. That was something that I love to do and try to stop them. But those guys at that level, it's hard to shut them down. So you
Mm-hmm.
got to live up to their average. You keep them around their average. You did your job.
I hear that. I hear that. So, this is buckets and breakdowns. So we gonna talk about some buckets. Some of these questions are wrong answers. I'm gonna start off with this one. Open break. Which one you gonna do for a dunk? The windmill or 360?
I think I'm gonna do the 360. I'm gonna get the 360 advantage, man. I think it
Okay.
gets the crowd a little bit more excited.
Okay. Okay. I hear that. I hear that. So there's also, there's a lot of dunkers. I need you to rank your top five.
Oof.
Top
Oh
five.
man. Top five. Oh man. I'm going with not in any order. I was gonna put them
Not
like
in any
this.
order.
Vince,
Okay.
Michael Jordan,
Okay.
Dr. J,
Yep.
Dominique Wilkins.
Okay, I'm about to say now you can't leave Neek out.
No, I can't leave Nick out. That's tough, man. It's tough. I'm missing somebody, man. I think I'm right outside the top five. Uh,
I'm about to ask where you at. You can throw yourself in there.
I don't know. I'm missing somebody, man. Who am I missing? I'm gonna have to go one of these young fellas, man. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna put. It's gonna be a tie for fifth because that dunk contest was up there with Dominique and George dunk contest at 85. I'm gonna put Zach LaVine and Eric
I'm
Gordon
about
at
to say
five.
you got to throw Zach got to be in there somewhere. That dude
Yeah,
got stupid bounce.
stupid bounce. That dunk contest, man. I'm old school, man. It's hard for me to go against that Jordan Dominique 85 dunk contest, but man, that mug was right here. That was one of the
Yeah,
best dunk contests I ever seen. Ever seen, man.
easily, easily. Yeah, man, I agree because those guys used another set of creativity.
Oh man, by
That
far.
was just off the charts. And I think the guts to try something, then the execution is it was all matched together, man. Like they killed that. They killed that.
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite dunk contest of all time. I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of people don't understand, man. Like in the dunk contest, it's the element of surprise and the creativity. When you got to take
Hmm.
3, 4, or 5 times to complete a dunk, the element of surprise is gone. And now we know what you're doing. Them dudes went out there and got those dunks on the first try. Aaron Gordon, Aaron Gordon by far had the greatest dunk all time, going over the mascot parallel, sitting down and taking the ball between his legs. Greatest dunk
Yeah,
ever.
that's
Greatest dunk
crazy.
ever.
That's crazy. So, true or false? Quick question: the best lobs, do they come from the worst passes?
True. True. Because you know,
So,
because you know why? Because I had teammates like Gilbert Arenas that used to throw the ball to see how high I could jump, and now I got to contort my body somehow to try to finish this play because I'm trying to stop a turnover and trying to get a bucket when we critically need a bucket. So I agree with that. The best passes are from Aaron passes.
hey,
Simple.
so when Gil would throw these on purpose, these bad lobs on purpose, just go get
Oh, on purpose.
it. I bet
Yes.
he
Oh, go
would.
get it. Go get it. Just go get it. Just go get it. I mean, I remember one time we get a fast break. We playing against Orlando, and I tipped the ball to Gilbert, and Gilbert is literally stuttering. But he all he had to do was just tip it to me, and I had a wide open. He catches the ball, and he just bounces off the ground. I mean, literally at the 3 point line, he just bounces off the ground, and I'm literally jumping in the air like I got to go get this. And while I'm jumping, Sean Kemp is literally pushing me in the air too at the same time. And I luckily caught him
Of
and hung
all
on to the
people,
rim. Yeah,
of all
yeah,
people, Sean Kemp gonna push you.
yeah.
All them
Push me
lobs
up.
you done caught. I can't get one with you in
Right.
the picture from my man cave.
Right.
That's crazy. That's
Yep.
crazy. Hey, well,
Yep.
look, Jay, I really appreciate your time on buckets and breakdowns, man. I feel like we could rap all day, man, but I know you got things, you got family, you know what I'm saying? And I look forward to seeing you every week at the Big Three, hooping, doing what you do. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate everything that you've done for the game, the players you've inspired, the work you're doing. What else? Is there anything else you got going on these days, man? You want to let the
Man,
people know about?
no, man, just being a father, man, enjoying my two boys, going through the process. One in high school, one in eighth grade, getting ready for high school next year. And just being a father, man, I'm enjoying it, seeing them go through their process.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. Well, keep hooping, man. Thanks again. I'm honored to have you on here. Thank you so much. Hey, so this is another episode of Buckets and Breakdowns, brought to you by Ball is Life, and we are out.
Peace.